Well, hi everybody. Hello, hello. It's me, Jessica, your health fitness program manager from McLean, and I'm here to bring you your awesome yin yoga practice. I thought we might need a. All right, today's practice is all about helping to reduce anxiety, stress, tension. I've got a couple of longer holds today. Well, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, longer than we sometimes do in class together. We're going to get started as per usual, right here on the floor. So come into a comfortable seated position of your choice. I like to keep my legs folded in really nice and tight, but perhaps you like to loosen your legs up a bit or extend those legs out towards the side. If you find that sitting in a cross-leg position, that your knees or a knee is coming up towards your shoulder, think about using your props to support you, whether it be one block under your leg or two blocks under your legs. And take this time to just notice what's happening with your body. No need to make any sort of adjustments yet, but just check in on the position of your shoulders in regards to your hips. Notice how you're breathing today. Cool. And if you found that you were hinging forward slightly from the hips, take the time to bring your shoulders right on top. Relax them away from your ears. And if your breathing was just up at the top of the chest, then start to work your breath a little bit lower down into your diaphragm. We're going to spend just about 2 more minutes here in our warm up, simply noticing how our bodies feel today and tuning into the breath the most, letting the breath be the guide throughout the rest of class. So make sure you don't come into any stretch that is so deep that you find yourself holding your breath. And think about what you're looking at right now as well. If your eyes are in any way darting around the room, really start to find one spot to focus your eyes in front of you. And if whatever you're looking at happens to be messy or distracting or unsatisfying, simply close your eyes. We got 1 minute left right here. Tuning into the quality of your breath. Inhale, notice how your body feels, and exhale. Release any expectations. Start to feel tension melt away as you just let it go. Next up, we're going to come into butterfly. I'm just going to turn sideways, but you do not need to. All right. So bringing the soles of the feet together. Think about having your heels about half a foot, sorry, 1 or 2 feet away from your groin. So we're not going for a really tight bound angle. We're bringing those heels out a little bit further. You can use your hands by your side or feel free to use any props that you have to create some relaxation here in this butterfly. If your back is hurting, you might want to keep a nice lift through the chest. But if it feels good for you, you can always round yourself down. We're going to hang out in this butterfly for 4 more minutes from right now. So we've used this past minute to just gently get into the posture, finding something that feels good for you that you can continue to hold. You want to create a noticeable stretch, and we're feeling that noticeable stretch perhaps in the low back, definitely within the hips also. You might feel this a lot within the inner thighs and groin because our class to decrease anxiety is going to hit along the kidney meridian, and that's where those two places are. Remember, if your eyes are moving, your mind is moving. So find that one spot, focus your eyes or simply close them, tune back into those long, slow, deep breaths. I want to remind you at the beginning of class that it's normal if you feel any sorts of involuntary twitching, shaking, or trembling. Yin yoga is such a great way for us to create a stretch within the joints, ligaments, tissue, skin, fascia. And while you're creating these stretches and new connections and stimulating through the body, it's normal. Some things just kind of fire off on their own. But we want to avoid the best that we can, making involuntary movements. The goal here is to find a stretch that feels a little uncomfortable. And then we just use our breath to hang out in this comfortable, uncomfortable position. And think about where can you relax? Where can things feel good? And that's where I think yin yoga really translates into real life, because so many times we find ourselves in uncomfortable situations and there's nothing you can do but be in that situation. And it's really up to you how you react, you know? So like think of yin as like the Mr. Rogers of yoga, that something doesn't feel great. And then we're looking for the helpers. We're looking for the good people who will make it a little. If you find at all that it's hard to stay in the stretch and stay focused and relaxing your breath, check out the idea of counting your breath. How many breaths does it take to get to the end of a minute? 1 minute starts right now. Perhaps even counting how many seconds you're enjoying your inhale and how many seconds you're enjoying your exhale. Remember, making your exhale longer than your inhale can help to slow your heart rate down, which can also help you feel more relaxed. Even if your stretch feels a little uncomfortable, if at any point you find that your uncomfortable stretch has actually become painful, then you should carefully ease yourself out, find a new place that you can relax in your stretch. Just a couple breaths left right here. Awesome. That's the end of a minute. So if you did find a forward fold with intention, carefully lift yourself up. Let's move any props out of the way and bring those heels in closer towards the center line of the body. Ground through your sit bones, maybe even placing your hands on your thighs or knees. Inhale, lift yourself up. Pull your belly button back towards your spine, no overarching of the back. And exhale, turn, twist in a spine twist. And towards squeezing your shoulder blades in towards each other, making sure that belly button is still drawn back towards the spine. Getting a nice little counter stretch and twist to that deep hip opener, forward fold potentially. Take one more big inhale, find your lifted length, belly in. Exhale, turn back towards the front. Inhale, lifted length once again. Exhale, turn and twist in the opposite direction, relaxing shoulders away from your ears, like a string is pulling your chest sternum up towards the ceiling. Keep belly button pulled in, so lower abdomen is contracted for some support to safely stretch the low back. Both sides of the body are not the same, so what you do on one side does not have to look the same on the opposite side. You're just doing the best with the body that you have today. While we're stretching through this upper body, how much can you relax through your hips? Notice if you are really squeezing your glutes or lifting those knees up, tensing your quads. Relax the lower body. Take a big inhale, lift from the center line. Exhale, turn back towards the front. Great. Next up, we've got half dragonfly. So fold one foot in, kick the opposite leg out, take a moment, readjust, pardon me, through your sit bones. You can let your toe do whatever feels right. So maybe it falls in, maybe you want to actively flex it back to get a little extra stretch through the back of the leg, calf. Maybe you let it fall away. You can have your hands behind you and stay nice and lifted. Or if you want, you can hinge forward right here. Coming towards the end of our first minute in half dragonfly, we're going to enjoy 3 more. If it feels good, you can tuck your chin towards your chest, get a nice stretch through the lower back, but keep the majority of the focus right here on the stretch that's happening in your bent leg, hip flexor, into the low back once again, starting to stretch into the groin of your straightened leg. Maybe you even feel a gentle hamstring stretch. The shoulders are relaxed. Breathing is relaxed. One minute left. If you took a forward fold, take your time and walk yourself back up. Bring your hands behind you. Go ahead, bend your knees, place the soles of the feet on the floor. Press into your heels, lift your chest, arch your back with your glutes down on the floor. Just squeeze the shoulder blades together. And even relax your head back if it feels good. Carefully make your way out of this big arch of your back, and let's go ahead and switch our feet. So starting to send the opposite leg out, finding what feels good for the inner leg. Maybe you decide to use a prop this time to be a little bit more supported and relaxed. I'm going to bring some more props to the party. We'll start those 4 minutes right now. So find what feels good. Remember, you can keep your hands by your hips. We're focusing on creating a stretch in the lower half of the body. So as much relaxation as you can create in the upper half of the body. And if it feels good to forward fold and get a stretch into the low back, just a little extra stimulation of those kidneys. Adios, anxiety. Just about halfway through. So check in with your upper body and notice if you're creating any extra tension. And maybe you make an adjustment so that you can actually be relaxed more. If you notice that you're bringing extra stress into your shoulders, or maybe sitting in a way that created tension in your jaw, we got 2 more minutes of stillness. Stillness and relaxation. And you know what? It's practice. It's not perfect. So if you feel at some point during the posture that you need to make a shift in your position, that's going to help you to better relax. Do it. The yoga police are not coming after you. And if they did, I bet they'd give you like a medal. Like, hey, check out this amazing human who did what was right for their body today. Let's all do what's right for our bodies today. Awesome sauce. If you took a forward fold, carefully lift yourself back up. Coming into another back arch. I'm going to try round two with my legs straight. Because why not do something a little bit different? and then still squeezing shoulder blades together, lifting from the chest. Option to drop your head back. Take about 3 slow, deep breaths. And after that third breath, carefully come out, move your props to the side, but you might want to keep them nearby. So just to the side. Next up, we're going to come into tabletop. And as you get there, give yourself like 2 cats and 2 cows. Keep them nice and slow. Arms stay nice and straight, elbows basically locked, and you're just finding as much flexion and rounding through the spine as you can, keeping that belly button pulled in for some control, just not wanting the stomach hang out on the floor, which usually means we're not thinking much of our backs. All right, so coming back into a nice neutral tabletop, so a gentle tuck of your pelvis. We're going to start to walk our hands forward, coming into melting heart pose. Melting heart pose is similar to child's pose, except instead of sending our hips back on top of our heels, we're working to keep those hips just about in line with the knees. Cool. All right, we got about 3 minutes in this melting heart pose or puppy pose. If you find that it's really challenging to have both arms forward, go ahead, fold one hand in and just take that stretch of one arm from a time at a time. That can make it a lot easier. We'll spend 1 more minute right here. I want you to really focus on that chest sinking to the floor. Your heart is melting. So try to eliminate that rounding you might have created in your upper back. So it's almost like you're in cow, like a cow child's pose. And if your hips sink back towards your heels, that's totally okay as well. You're just finding what feels good. Can you relax a little bit through your feet? If you have just one hand forward, we're going to go ahead and switch which arm you have forward. Still melting your heart down towards the floor. Splitting up those 3 minutes for a delightful 1.5 minute per each side. Make sure you're not extra squeezing through your glutes in such a way that your toes are lifting up off of the mat, tops of the feet relaxed into the floor, ankles are relaxed, shins are relaxed. Easier stretch coming your way for the shoulders and potentially low back. Go ahead. Ooh, send your glutes back towards your heels. Forehead can fall down towards the floor. If it feels good in your shoulders, you can keep those arms nice, straight, and forward. We've got 1 minute using child's pose as a counter pose. Pardon me as I awkwardly struggle through modestly trying to cover up my skin. Don't look though. Your head should be down on the floor. Great. Go ahead, press yourself back up into tabletop again. Give yourself a cat. Give yourself a cow. We're going to make our way back into a seated position, working towards easy pose. So if you want, you can even cross your legs behind you and then walk your hands back to flip over and flip onto your glutes. You're going to turn this way. You can see me a little bit better. Wow. All right. So next up, we're going to go for some fire logs. I want you to think about creating some right angles with your knees the best you can. Obviously, we're not so wide, no matter what you think your hips might look like, that we're going to get an actual 90-degree angle. It's more like a 45-degree angle. Let's be real. All right. So the best that you can, having that bottom foot uh, in line with the top of your mat. And then an easy way to get into it is as if you're going into a spine twist. Top foot is going to be outside of the knee. As you sit down onto your glutes, your 2 feet stack on top of each other. Now it's pretty likely that you came down and there's this magical space between your upper leg and your lower leg. And if so, oh, pardon me. You can place a block underneath of it to be relaxed. In this stretch, you should feel a little bit or a lot of a stretch in the hip. If you happen to feel the stretch in your knee, which you just separate those legs and just bring one foot on top of the other. So uh, we're here for a total of 4 minutes, but we'll say that that time where we were just talking, you were probably doing something, was the first minute. So 3 minutes from right now, find a place to relax your arms, relax your sit bones into the floor, relax your shoulders, maybe your hands even come back a little closer towards your hips, maybe your chin tucks down towards your chest. Oh, keep breathing. Hopefully this feels kind of good. I hope so. Remember, if you do start to feel any sort of discomfort, pain, or significant stretch in your knee, you get to unstack your legs because you're being smart for your body today. And that is an awesome thing. Last minute right here. Great work. I bet you're so still at home. If you took a forward hinge, lift yourself up, bring your hands behind you. We're going to uncross our legs. Whew, whew. You can do the same, just little like back bend, uh, or you can make things a little bit more intense. Doesn't matter what direction your fingers are pointing, whatever feels right for you. We're going to press ourselves up into a nice reverse tabletop, big opening of the chest here, press heels into the floor. Really big hip opener in this reverse tabletop. And if that feels like too much, perhaps you lower your back down on the floor and just press your hips up, and a glute bridge is a good in between of all of the options we've had so far. Two more breaths right here. And on your exhale, release your glutes down towards the floor. Let's come on into our fire logs on the other side. So whichever leg you had on top is now on the bottom. Talking myself through it too. All right, so getting that shin as parallel with the top of the mat as feels right today. And if that means your heels closer to the center line of the body, that's okay. You can be all dramatic. Hi. And bring the outside of the foot towards the outside of the knee, like we're like some sort of supermodels, because we are. And then sit your glutes down. And remember, both sides of the body are not the same. So find what feels good on this side. You might need to keep your hands behind you. The floor might still feel really far away. So maybe you keep your hands relaxed on blocks so you can relax through your shoulders. You can place a block or a sock or pillow or a towel under the space if you have a lot of space. You can also hinge forward, and we're here for 4 minutes. Just like before, I'll say that that first minute passed in case you I got into the posture earlier than me. So really, we're here for like 3 minutes. I hope that helps you relax even more. Relax through your shoulders. Think about relaxing one vertebrae at a time and using your exhale to create extra space between each of the vertebrae. Remember, if you do start to feel that pain at all in your knee as opposed to in your hips, unstack your legs or apply less pressure of your upper body into your lower body. Whatever it takes, this might be a posture that you really need to readjust in because you're listening to what your body says. We have 1 minute left right here in our fire log before we'll enjoy reverse tabletop again. And then it's laying down on our backs to the end. So we're so close to really melting into the floor. All right, if you hinge forward, lift yourself up. Ooh, uncross your legs. I'm gonna take it a little bit easier the second time. Instead of going into a reverse tabletop, I'm gonna relax my back on the floor. Keep a strap in your back. And press those hips up and just open the hips with a little bit more support on the floor. And still think towards relaxing through your shoulders, really pressing through your heels, a little activation of the glutes, activating one side to help open and release the hips on the opposite side of the body. One more big inhale here. And on your exhale, one vertebrae at a time. If you're in a glute bridge, lower yourself down. Or if you press yourself up into reverse tabletop, oh, that felt so good. Take your time and lower yourself down onto your back. I just felt something perfectly relax, release, and realign in my low back. And that's why we're here, right, everyone? To feel good. And oh, it did. All right. Straps nearby. Next up, we're going to draw knees in towards the chest. Bring your toes together at first. So knees towards the chest slash armpits, toes towards each other. Relax your shoulder blades and tips of the shoulders back down to the floor. Hello, Uncle. All right, so we're working our way towards happy baby, and you can stay here with your knees bent and the toes towards each other and keep things pretty easy breezy. Or perhaps you use a strap under the soles of the feet and open those feet a little bit wider into your happy baby. We're going to stay here for 3 more minutes, so I definitely recommend using a prop. If you don't happen to have a strap, you can think towards bringing your hands to the back of the knees. If you're wearing pants, holding on to your pants, holding on to your big toe or socks if you can reach, and sometimes opening your legs a little bit wider, taking the bend out of the knees, can be a great way to relax a little bit more in the stretch. That way you're also not just getting into the hips if your legs are nice and wide. One more time to stimulate the kidneys with a big inner thigh stretch. And with every exhale, imagine all of your stress and tension just flowing away like dandelions when they become fluff balls. And when you started class, your stress might have been like one big dandelion fluff ball. And at the middle of the class, your dandelion fluff balls started to separate into each of the individual seeds. And now those seeds with your breath are just floating away one by one. Or if that sounds really weird and you didn't like it, then don't imagine that. That's fine. We've got just about 1 minute left right here. Scan your body head to toe, really relax. On your next exhale, start to bring your heels toes together into that same modified happy baby we started with. And then release the feet down towards the floor. Let the strap go towards the side. Make sure you have some space at the side of the mat. Windshield wipe your legs gently. Up to you if you want to have your feet together or your feet nice and wide. We're going to drop knees over to one side for a quick little spine twist before we come into our final savasana. I'd love for you to consider going for this nice spine twist again later today, maybe to help you relax right before bedtime if you're starting to feel any sort of stress or anxiety build back up. This is a great opportunity to actively stretch through your hip, through your low back, and through the inner thigh and groin. Perfect. Inhale, knees back up to center. Readjust your back on the mat if you want or need to. And on your next exhale, allow knees to fall to the other side. Use your next exhale to send knees back up towards the ceiling. Firmly plant your back into the floor. You can keep your arms wide if you want to. You can bring them closer towards the center line of the body. If you want to just tent your knees towards each other for a final savasana, that's an option. Or feel free to extend your legs out long. Oh, that feels so good. We've got just about 3 minutes left here together in class today, so we're all going to finish together on the floor because I encourage you to stay down here in this final savasana for a little bit longer if you can. And if you can't, that's okay too. Scan your body. One last posture as many times as you can. Top of the head all the way down to the tips of your toes. One breath at a time, move down your body, relax through your breath the best you can. Don't move just yet. Still down here on the floor. I just want to take the time to thank you for coming, for showing up for yourself today, for making today's class part of your yin yoga practice. As always, if you have any questions or concerns about anything I said or we did today, I hope that you will reach out. Take a moment. Think about one good thing that you've done today, something that you can be proud of, whether it was something that you did for yourself or a moment that you were considerate or helpful to someone else. I hope whatever you thought of brought a smile to your face. Till we are together again, think good thoughts, speak good words, eat good foods, and do good deeds. Take the time. You're nourishing yourself from the inside out. Whatever time of day you check in with this practice, I hope that the rest of it is wonderful. And as always, know that the light within me honors, sees, and is so thankful for the light within you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank yourself for coming. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.